So, let's see. I don't even know the date today. June, was it 27th or something today? June 27th, maybe? 28th? I don't even know.
28th.
28th today is
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yes.
I know because I checked
Is
that
that an
bank.
armadillo? What is that? Yep.
Dead
an
armadillo.
Yeah, so I wanted to make a video today and talk about the seizure that you had last week, but I was going to wait until after we went to this program this morning that we were going to check out for you, and you ended up actually having a seizure there at the program this morning, just a few minutes ago.
See, I would
Not too long ago.
I would shoot with my mouth closed, but my jaw is so fucking worn out from that seizure, I cannot.
Well, no, I'm not judging. I'm not judging.
My teeth hurt too. I grinded my teeth.
Yeah. So you literally just had a seizure about like 30 minutes ago, which was totally
22 minutes ago.
Maybe, probably. Yeah.
We left right after I woke up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was gonna make a video today anyway with you, since we're in the car, and talk about the seizure that you had about a week ago, almost a week ago.
I can't even remember that one now.
I think it was Thursday of last week. You had a seizure.
I know I had one. I couldn't walk for.
It was at night.
I had a nasty limp.
It's the first seizure you've had since November. So I wanted to talk about it and see, because you and I haven't really talked about it too much. I mean, in the past, whenever I brought up your seizures, you'd get mad at me, tell me I was jinxing you or something.
You did technically jinx it.
No.
Now, if you think about it, I couldn't have had a seizure today, but somehow you're like, hey, let's talk about your seizures. Oh, I have one. How ironic.
Yeah, well, you did. You had one, so let's talk about it, though. Let's talk about last week's seizure first. What do you think happened?
I can't remember last week. I don't pay attention to the weeks. I just go through it. I remember I couldn't walk, hardly. I had a nasty limp. It hurt.
After your seizure.
Yeah,
Talk
after.
About, what do you think triggered it? Like before your seizure, what do you think triggered it?
Small things.
Like what?
Like I got my vape charger stolen. I vape and I had no nicotine supplements of any type, no gum, but I don't choose the gum. But the point is I had no nicotine.
Okay, so you're saying you felt anxiety, you felt anxious.
Yeah.
You're saying you had a lot of emotions. You felt disappointed because somebody stole your charger for your vape batteries.
Yeah, that was on the kitchen counter, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And then in the morning, we went to an appointment, an intake appointment for mental health.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You're
that's
asking for a counselor.
I was exhausted.
And it was early in the morning.
That triggered me too. It irritated
And the lady
me.
was really not
A
very nice.
douchebag.
Look at that weird helicopter.
Oh, really nice. Oh, not really nice.
No, I said
she
the
was
lady.
a dick.
Yeah, the lady wasn't very nice.
And they illegally drug tested me.
And it was like a very, very long, 3-hour long intake. And we were stuck in a very small little room, boxed in the whole time. And the light was flickering in the room and it was bothering you. And you asked her if you could turn it off because you have seizures. And she was like, no. Right? Really rude about it.
Yeah. She's
Right?
like, I need it. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I'm thinking, well, why do you have fucking 3 lights in your room?
Right.
Plus the lights on the top.
Yeah.
You don't need that many.
The county public mental health system is a system, and it's full of people that are not very compassionate sometimes, and they're very militant about the rules and trying to fit you in a box that you've never really fit in. So that was a horrible experience. We didn't enjoy ourselves. Plus, you had to spend that 3 hours talking about your police trauma and your PTSD and your
other
seizures.
stuff that I
Right.
don't bring up
Right.
ever.
Other stuff you didn't really want to talk about. You were forced
She's like,
to.
oh, we want to scratch the surface. So you bring it all up and look what happened. 2 seizures later.
And so that happened. All that happened. And we're getting ready to come up on the anniversary of the whole police brutality situation, which was July 27th, right, of 2011.
I thought it was 8. Oh well.
July 27th, 2011.
Time flies.
So we're getting ready to come up on the anniversary of that. I'm glad you don't know what day it was. I just told you.
know it's somewhere around April.
Yeah.
April, June, July.
So
like
well,
that.
you know, every July, August, September,
I get super moody.
you end up in the ICU, really, with seizures and controlled seizures. But, so that's coming up, but you're not going to end up in the hospital this time because you didn't end up in the hospital last year. So it's getting better. It's getting better. It's not really a setback, but it was just a rough day. It was a rough day, a really super long intake, and
2 appointments in a row.
And then we went to the gastroenterologist after that.
That was a waste of my time.
And we waited a really long time.
Doctors always worry about something, and then the guy's like, "Oh yeah, your blood came back good."
And then you know what else happened that day? A weird thing. The county public defender's office from the place we lived in California called me that same exact day in the afternoon, actually, late afternoon, and said that they had another complaint against that same officer, so they were investigating it.
I know. They told me that they called us. Remember that, like 2 years ago?
Yeah, that's probably like the 6th time they've actually called me since we moved here in 2013, saying they've had complaints against that officer. So all of that happened on the same day, just a lot of stuff, a lot of really intense emotion, and you were tired, you had to get up early, you were super moody, and then you ended up having a seizure there in your room. And I was in the living room and I heard a big bang, but I didn't know what it was. I just thought you
I
were
was throwing shit. Because apparently Duke was barking, but you couldn't fucking hear him before I fucking seized. I was in the middle of the seizing before I freaking blacked out. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna randomly start throwing shit at the wall until you hear something.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't hear Duke barking, but
Exactly, my point.
yeah.
I could have died, and Mom's like, oh, I didn't hear him. Sorry, he's
Well,
dead.
I heard a big bang, and then I heard another big bang, and then I went in there, and you were basically wedged between your bed and the cabinet beside your bed.
I don't know how. It's literally a tiny ass gap.
Yeah,
It's like
I know.
it's like this big and
I know. Well,
like
that's
that
why
big and
that's why it meshed you up. That's why your body's all sore and
bruised.
yeah. So that lasted about 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes,
Completely worn out.
and then
Like worse than all the other ones. I couldn't get up. I was like
Right.
laughing my ass off because I think it was like it's been 8 months since I had a seizure, and when I had one, I was high off adrenaline that I'm not used to,
Right.
and I was laughing, and it was really weird and just weird. Period. Weird.
Yeah. Well, you're not used to having seizures because you haven't had one since November.
I was laughing after I woke up.
And then you couldn't walk. You couldn't get up.
I
you
couldn't walk
sit
at all.
up.
I couldn't feel my legs or my arms or
Yeah.
half my face.
Yeah.
Oh, and I woke up with a massive headache and a lump on my head.
So, I wanted to just talk about that with you a little bit. Talk about healing and, you know, how growth is like a spiral. It's not a path, it's a spiral. You know, you kind of come back to the same issues again with new wisdom and new experience and, you know, until you work it out. You know, so it's not really a setback per se. It's not like you failed. Or it's not like you unhealed, right? It's just you're going through another transition in your life, and you know the seizures, you know, seems like are gonna kind of challenge you a little bit again for the time being. And then the other day you weren't feeling so great. You wanted to go out and play magic at the card shop, and I was like, "Are you sure?" You know, because I didn't want them to call me and say, "Oh."
I was feeling like crap. I was walking around with one of my best friends' grandpa's old canes that I had that I restored it, but I started using it. Actually, it actually works pretty good. But yeah, I use it because I can't walk. I have a nasty limp after I have seizures because my legs are all messed up. Like on the left leg, I got this gnarly bruise that's like this big and swollen and lumpy.
So before you
Just
went
like-
out to the card shop, I did a little shamanic work on you. Did you feel much difference or no?
No,
I knew,
it was just really awkward.
I knew you were gonna.
You're
say
like
no.
this.
I knew you were gonna say no. I knew you. Were.
And I'm like, huh? What the fuck are you doing, Ma?
I knew.
I'm used to your energy, so I don't know what your energy. No, it just doesn't work that way for me.
Okay.
What else?
So then today, I mean, I was wondering, okay, is Jared gonna have another seizure, And then today, we got up early and went to this program over here that it's like for special needs adults. It's like a really cool program, actually. I thought.
Yeah, Bob was really nice.
They do like a day program type thing, but it's like an actual functioning restaurant, and they sell all their art, and they grow their own produce there in the greenhouse. And we didn't get to finish the tour because you had a seizure, but you want to talk about that?
They kept bringing up God. I mean, when I walked in, I figured something was up when the head director was dressed like a freaking hardcore Christian old lady. Like, you know how Christians dress a certain way when they're in public. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then they're like making Christian jokes I have never even heard of. Oh my God, you walk on water. And I'm like, what? Walk on water? What is this old crap? I've never even heard of. Mom's like, oh, it's like back then they used to worship Jesus for walking on water. What they're doing is they're worshiping her because.
Okay, so you felt judgmental about it, is what you're saying.
I mean, everyone in there was all Christians. And
so how did that make you feel?
Uncomfortable,
So
because
you were uncomfortable.
it's a disability place,
Okay.
and every disability person that goes in there is not going to be Christian. They're
Yeah.
probably going to keep their mouth shut.
Okay. So you felt uncomfortable. Was it kind of threatening in a way, sort of, to you?
It seemed a bit like my old church where they pushed religion on you.
Okay, so
They kept bringing up the subject. God did this. It was God's plan. I'm like, well, that's bullshit.
So you were uncomfortable right from the start, is what you're saying. And then we started the tour, and she did talk a lot, and you don't
Long
do
story short, 3 minutes later. Long story short, guys. Long story short, you guys. Okay. 30 minutes later. Long story short. It's a short story long.
Yeah. So you're saying you don't deal well with that.
I never was. High school was tough enough.
Yeah.
I never paid attention. They talked too much.
So okay, that was the second thing, and then we started on the tour where we finally actually were able to move away after her long little talking session and see the facility. And then there was, they call them citizens. They call their clients citizens.
Yeah, that was uncomfortable too.
So there was a group of them sitting around glazing some pottery, some really beautiful pieces of pottery. And it was a tight space. A lot of people were crammed in there.
Yeah, it
And
made
what
me
happened?
start thinking about all of why they're so quiet. What happens if? What's it like inside the class?
And so one of the citizens like went around and was shaking everybody's hand and introducing himself.
Yeah, that just instantly triggered it.
And
My
then
seizure.
yeah, he went to
I was
go
uncomfortable.
shake your hand, and you, I don't know.
It was weird.
You were already out of it.
I was already out of it.
You were already
He came
out of
up
it.
to me and I'm like, nah.
I could tell you were going to have a seizure. As soon as I looked
I
back,
almost cried for some reason.
you were crying.
I was crying. Yeah, I get emotional on certain
You were
types
crying.
of seizures.
I looked back at you when he came to approach you, and I could tell by the look on your face that you were about to have a seizure. And you like backed up. You backed up, and then you turned around, put your back to him. That's not like you. You don't do that kind of stuff normally. And then when I walked up to you and I said, Jared, are you okay? You were crying.
I remember fragments of that. I definitely know that I was definitely gonna cry.
I mean, you weren't like crying like boo-hoo, but your eyes were red and tears were coming out of them.
I was literally about to cry. I don't know why.
Well, you were
It's just
crying.
a weird bipolar emotion that just like overlapped
And
it.
I
And I'm
tried
like,
to
what?
get you. I grabbed your shoulders and I said, Jared, let's go to the car. But you were stiff and you wouldn't move. And then I knew you were gonna have a seizure because your jaw started doing that.
That weird shit.
So then
it
I had
does.
to
Yeah, I
ask
know.
them to help me lay you down.
I can't even duplicate it. That's the weird part. I can't.
Yeah.
My friends ask me, "What's it look like when your jaw shakes?" So I know. I'll be like, "Well, think of this, but like 20 times faster," and it goes da 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 da, da, and it's like a spasm. I can't.
So you have a
aim
seizure there on the floor, the pottery room. I'm all dirty. You're all dirty. You know, what I wanted to just talk about that. Like, what do you think triggered that, or what happened?
Plus, it's the morning. I'm tired.
Do you have much to say about it? Like, you've had 2 seizures now in a week, and
No, it doesn't bother me.
you know, as far as like
These are baby seizures. They're not like the ones that I used to have. These
Well,
are like
I mean,
fragments.
they're pretty violent,
I mean, of course they're violent.
and you're injuring yourself. You're hurting. Your body's hurting.
No shit. My
So-
arm hurts, and it hurts so much.
So I
to
don't know what you
move.
mean by baby seizures. I mean,
I was in ICU multiple times. It could be a lot worse.
yeah.
I could be in a coma right now,
So
which happened multiple times.
right. Well, okay. So both seizures this week, I haven't called an ambulance, and we've been able to just work through them in a relatively decent amount of time, 20-25 minute time period, where you're out of it and able to at least sit up. So that's progress, you know, in some way. Do you have anything to say about it, though? Like, what do you think's causing them? I mean, you've been off your meds and totally off all your medications.
Well, I take my
May
hydroxyzine
1st, May around
propanol.
May. Yeah, occasionally.
Occasionally when
So
my heart
rarely.
rate picks up.
So rarely.
I knew I should have freaking taken it when the lady was talking so long. I was
Okay.
spacing out when I was in the lobby room. I noticed it when I was like, but my body told me not to worry about it at the same time, and so my brain triggered saying to cut. Basically, you know, think about it, how you have 2 minds technically, and you're speaking right now, but you have also that little voice in your conscience telling you not to do this. and
Right.
that. But then there's like 2 types of conscience. There's a good conscience and a bad conscience. But then my bad conscience is telling me don't say nothing at all, because then once you say something, mom's gonna be like, good conscience is like, let's go. But then my bad conscience is gonna be like, oh, okay, let's stay so we could just see this place. And then like, does that make total sense? That makes sense. Like,
Yeah, so in other words, you knew you were going to have a seizure, but you didn't want to leave.
yeah, but like, I knew it, but I didn't know it. Does that make sense?
Well,
It's like my good conscience knew that I was gonna do it, but my bad conscience. Wait, hold on.
this is what I want to
My
help
bad conscience
you.
knew that I was gonna do it, but it was like,
This is what I want to help you figure out, is to be able to identify when that's going to
Tongue twister.
happen and circumvent it. I mean, up to this point, you've done really good. We've been at home, and when you feel that way, you go to your room and you like self-care. You do what you need to do to take care of yourself to prevent it
listen
from
to
happening.
music, watch videos.
Yeah,
on YouTube,
you've been
make
doing
me
good.
laugh.
You've been doing good. So you're starting to, you know, forget or become complacent or something. What, you know, I'm trying to figure out, like,
We do not forget.
what's
That
going
guy's
on.
Billy's voice was so deep. I'm like, you're so skinny, and your voice is like 20 times deeper than it should be. He's like super scrawny, and he's like, hey, what's up? Like, it's like really deep, like it shouldn't be. He's like, hey, what's up? And then his last name is funny because it's like, I got it right away. And he's like, you're the first person that actually got it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's because I have a lot of nicknames, and that makes total sense. I'm like, that and that. Yeah, I talk a lot.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about is, like, you obviously have this bias against Christians, and I understand that. I have a little bit of that sort of, like, resistance.
Jesus was a Jew. Wouldn't everybody be Jewish? Period. That's my thing. It irritates me.
But so you
everything.
were raised in the church. You were raised in the church. So whatever sort of resentment that you have comes out of that experience.
They're all two-faced. Okay, so let's say Christian they go to the church, worship God, say everything's like a sin. They go home. Some parents will hit their kids, cuss, slur, fuck other women, or got girls doing the same shit, doing guy things like
We're gonna
sins.
just drive around a while because we're not.
And then they say, and then they go back to church like it never happened. Oh, or they could do drugs and stuff. Which I had a neighbor back in the old neighborhood we lived in, down the street. Her son did drugs, and she knew about it, but she yelled at me for smoking like marijuana. And I'm like, well, your son does heroin, and I smoke a marijuana strain that's actually for medical, and heroin's not. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. But then when they go back to church, they're like, they're two-faced. They're like, oh yeah, we're Christian. Know the Bible. When you go home, we pray for dinner.
Okay,
much.
but remember
What is
how
that?
like you were judging all police just based on the 2 police officers that were mean and brutal to you? And then we came here and all the police got to know you and stuff because you walk around a lot. And as soon
You know how long
as soon
it
as
took?
look,
It took
listen,
3 years for
yes,
that.
no, we haven't been here 3 years.
Almost. Yeah,
But,
actually.
okay, but they
I was
had
18.
to actually like
18, 19,
yes,
20,
but that we
21,
live
22,
somewhere else.
Almost 40.
We've moved.
I knew the cops I knew some of the cops here that are from.
But we moved a few times in a little, different areas, different police. And so where we're at now has only been like maybe not even 2 years. And it's because they saw you have a seizure. It's because the police saw you have a seizure. And when I explained to them what was going on with you and who you were and what your needs were and what you've been through, then they had compassion for you. So after that, they weren't looking at you, sort of like in this same way of like, oh, he's just this 20-year-old punk kid. They weren't looking at you like that anymore. They were looking at you.
Oh, they look at me like a teddy bear now.
Yeah, exactly. Because
I really am
right.
a teddy bear.
But see, they didn't
I can't
know
hurt.
that.
Well, technically, I could hurt a fly.
Yes, but if people just approach
But
you and they
I
don't
don't
know,
hurt a fly.
you're 6 foot tall, 200 pound, you're a big kid. You can get a little bit sort of sarcastic and rude sometimes, and people don't understand that that's part of your autism. They just think you're being a smart ass punky kid.
Really?
Yeah.
I just did it to you. She fell for it.
Really?
She's like, I'm like, really? Well, if I said it like, really? You would have caught on, but I said, really?
Yeah. So now that they know what's going on with you, and that you mean no harm, and that you're not really a smart ass punk kid, they treat you different. And because they treat you different, you've been able to heal some of that resentment that you have.
Yeah, they're all really nice.
Right.
Well, besides
So-
some of them are
So I want
really
to tell you a
dicks, but-
story the other day that's actually related to you. And I'm not going to say her name on camera in a public video, but somebody that we both know, and you'll know who I'm talking about, somebody that we both know called me the other day, and we know her through Dad, and she's somebody that also saw you have a seizure. You know who I'm talking about? In public.
I have a idea.
Okay. Yeah. Where Dad used to work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew you were talking about
Okay. I just don't want to say
that
her.
person.
I don't want to say her
I don't
name.
want to say genders either. So
Well,
I can't. I mean, you never.
Her.
Yeah, then if it's a her, then yes, I know for
She
sure.
called me the other day, and you know she's a Christian, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's nice. She's
Yes.
a nice Christian. She's
Okay.
a real Christian.
Well, she wants to start tithing her money to me, to my medicine lodge that I'm trying to do for the veterans and clean. How awesome is that? But
nice.
not only that, we talked for over an hour, and she told me that you were like seeing you have that seizure, like was the thing. It was the thing. Jared, I almost called you Justin. That was the thing that like set her on her path of wanting to be of service to God, in a bigger way.
Hey,
I
don't want to say names, but the manager at that place inspired me. She changed my point of view of everything because how she was saying it. Technically, Christians,
Right.
Because she believed in God in different ways, and
Right.
it was more complex than more of a Christian, but it was still Christian, but it was like an old school type of Christian. It wasn't like new terms, like modern these days Christians,
Right.
where they just put a label on you.
So my point of it is you can't judge the whole thing by a few people that have been two-faced or hypocritical.
I mean, but there's a lot of them that corrupted the system of the
True.
religion.
Yes. And there's still, those people still are out there. There's no doubt. But we have to like love the people, and we don't have to love their dogma. We don't have to love their philosophies or their ways of being. We don't have to love that, but we can still love the people. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, she's not judging me. She knows I'm not really a Christian, but she believes like what I'm doing is of pure heart.
Yeah, that's what the other manager was thinking of me, but I still have that. I mean, it took me like 3 years to get over. No, it took me longer than 6 years since I had the accident with the police. It took me that long to get over that. So it's gonna take another 2 years or a year to get over the Christian thing. Or 6 months.
Well, you never know. I mean, are you interested in going to that program even though it's Christian?
Yeah, I want to go.
Well,
only because Billy's there. Billy's really nice. I don't know what he did, but he really put an impression on me. I don't know. His energy was so good.
It was really awesome. He had
I don't
good
know.
energy.
I don't know what it was, but like I felt like a connection, not on a gay level.
Yes, no,
Because
I
some
get
people
you.
will be like, my friends will be watching. They'll be like, "Oh my God, it's so
Right.
cute," and I'm like, "Really?"
Right.
Because my friends watch the videos.
So what if this is an opportunity for you to heal from that, from your, sort of prejudice and anger that you have towards Christians? There's a way to approach those people and still guard yourself, to not feel like, oh, they're trying to like convert me to Christianity, they're trying to proselytize or, force me into their religion. I mean, of course they're trying to share God's love, and because that's what they believe. In the same ways that we've tried to share what we believe with other people.
I believe there's multiple gods.
But what if there's a way to be with them and to allow them to just love and have healing towards you and not have to accept? I mean, if they can accept you for who you are, not being a Christian, and love you anyway, that's healing.
Then they would have to accept me cussing and being my natural self. See, that's when the two-face comes in.
The whole world's like that, though.
I'm an unfiltered, filtered
Yes.
person. I say how it is.
I get that.
And how.
I get that.
And
And
then those
I'm
people won't
totally that
understand.
way too, but
There's a but. Everybody, there's a
because
but.
when you're in a work environment or you're in a professional environment or you're in certain types of environments, you do have to restrain yourself.
Depending on your boss. Trust me, I know. I seen my friend work with one of his bosses, and he goes, "Shut up, asshole!" And I'm like, "That's a great boss where you can just bash each other at the same time, and you guys get paid."
Yeah, but that's a rare
Very rare,
situation.
but I would love that relationship because then I could just bash each other when I'm feeling really irritated.
Well, it's almost like you have to go out and create that, And I've thought about that a bazillion times. What she's trying to do for her daughter, that lady that talked so much,
Gas station?
I'd like to do for you. Oh, well, you didn't tell me that.
Oh, no, this one coming up.
For cigarettes?
Sure.
So, that's the only other thing that was kind of on my mind. I mean, and I feel that
You know
sort
what?
of-
Also, another thing that triggered my seizures is pain, and I smashed shit out of my finger before I had a seizure. Like, look at this sucker. I was working on something in the garage, and I messed it up too. I was working on a ring that I was making. I messed it up while I smashed my finger, and it pinched so hard into the freaking hammer and the wood, and it went bloop, and I was like, oh, and it still hurts. I want to pop it, but the callus is so thick I can't pop it.
Yeah, no, leave it alone.
I do want to get a new tattoo though.
Me too.
I really want to get either an Ouroboros, a kelp.
You and that Ouroboros, that's...
Hey, you could have different symbols of the Ouroboros. You could have a Chinese dragon, a snake.
You could. What does it mean to you?
What's it mean to me?
Yes. What's that mean?
Reincarnation.
Okay. That's not the traditional sort of occult meaning of it. but
That's their cult. I don't give a. That's their believing. My believing's different. I believe in multiple things, and it can mean anything I want it to be.
I like it too, but I wouldn't put it on my body. I'm actually asking a friend of mine right now, he's an artist, to draw a piece for me. I want a big piece on my leg.
Wait, is he a good artist?
Mm-hmm.
I'll take a judge of that.
Yep. Because I just feel like tattoo artists won't take the time to create an original piece. Most of them just sort of
Josh does it.
copy from, references. So I'm asking him to make an original piece so I can take it to a tattoo artist and have them then copy it.
Ah.
I don't have the money, but
I still want to get that tattoo. That's a Christian scripture in the Bible since I was in junior high school.
Jeremiah 29:11.
Yeah, how'd you know? I was planning to get like an old scroll, a realistic old scroll, and then it has the whole verse on it.
Yeah.
I thought it would be really cool. Yeah, some words I can't just say today. I noticed I slurred my words last time. Look, see? I noticed I'm slurring. It's the S's I can't say after a seizure. It's S's in like certain letters. Slur.
This is for
I know, but it's like shaman.
It's for snake.
S is for snake.
All right.
And S
Here you go.
for
Here you
shaman.
get your cigarettes. All right. Bye, guys. Hey, so I just want to take a minute to talk about healing while he's in there getting his cigarettes. As I was telling him, he has had 2 seizures this week. It's been since November 8th since he's had seizures, but he's off all his meds, so he's doing really well, and I don't really see this as a setback per se. It's just, it is a spiral, and he's coming back to it to try to learn some more from it. And, if you're suffering from psychogenic non-epileptic seizures, get a hold of me if you're interested in getting a little bit more insight into how we've been working with this together mutually. The fundamental aspect of healing really is to take responsibility, regardless of what the condition is. If they say it's psychogenic or non-psychogenic, taking responsibility for the healing is the number one first step in healing. And I know a lot of people think that they're doing that, but they're still using a lot of outside modalities. They're running here, they're trying like 100 different things, and none of it's effective. It's because you're still externalizing that process. You're still looking outside of yourself for the healing, and externalizing your locus of control over it. The fact of it is, it doesn't really honestly matter what the modality is outside of it or external to you, because they all work. They're all effective. And, in that sense, that's what the placebo effect's all about. And I know this sounds like a pie-in-the-sky dream, but I'm telling you from firsthand experience of healing from stage 4 cancer, from healing with all kinds of side effects and things that come along with that, getting through diverticulitis without taking antibiotics, all kinds of things that I've been able to effectively heal within my own body, and also assist Jared, guide him and lead him in ways of healing for himself as well. I'm telling you from all that experience that the external modality doesn't matter. What matters is that you internally take the locus of control and responsibility for the healing, and that you work it out in and through you, instead of allowing it to just come from the external, but really allow it to come into you and work it out back through. And this continual cycle of processing. So yeah, if you have questions about it, get a hold of me. I'd love to talk to you about healing and the processes of healing. So all right, as always, you guys, we love you so much, and thank you for watching. Jared's just an amazing guy, and I love him so much. I'm so blessed to be his mom. So thanks. Have a great day. Bye.